As you walk into a pharmacy and you see an older person clutching a prescription, $150 for 2 little vials for glaucoma, how's it going to, the rent, the food, where's it going to come from? This is disgraceful. We give these U.S. drug companies huge tax credits or subsidies. We give them the refined drugs that our tax dollars develop at the National Institutes of Health and universities. We give it to them free. We pick one company and give them a major multi-billion-dollar drug free under a monopoly marketing agreement with no price restraints. And they turn around and hit a woman with ovarian cancer, as Bristol Myers did with Taxol, $14,000 for 6 treatments. How long are we going to take this? There's no country in the world that allows the drug companies here to price their drugs the way we have allowed the drug companies to do so. The system is not working. Not working. Pay or die, 2004, USA. What a disgrace. What a disgrace. 18,000 people die every year, according to the National Academy of Science Institute of Medicine, because they can't afford health care. They're people, real people. They leave orphans behind. Bush never talks about them. That's 6 9/11s. Don't we talk about hundreds of thousands of preventable deaths, injuries in this country every year, just because Osama bin Laden is not behind them? What kind of grotesque distortion and disrespect for human life is involved here? What the people want, they don't get, because the political system succumbs to the nose of the commercial HMOs, of Cigna, of Aetna, and the rest of the health insurance companies, of that corrupt system that steals 10% out of every healthcare dollar we spend in this country just on computerized billing fraud and abuse. You ever try to understand those bills? They're in code, literally. Jiggle the code in a different way, you can double the price entry. That figure comes from the General Accounting Office, the U.S. government, Congress. But I talked to the chief expert on this at Harvard. I said, what do you think? That's $160 billion this year. Malcolm Sparrow is his name, an applied mathematician. He said, that's the lowest estimate. It can go up to 400 billion. And who pays for that? Of course we do, but we don't go out and put a check out. We just pay for it. The level of silent theft in this country by corporations is staggering. I think we have to put a scenario of what our country could be like, much more vividly. We live in a soundbite journalistic world confronting big bite injustices, and they don't fit. Talking about the injustices in our country and the solutions and the ways to diminish them, the ways to solve our problems, and we're full of solutions. We have solutions for almost every major problem that's actually working here and there, but not everywhere. There's the inner city school that's working. There's the building that's extremely energy efficient that's working. There are vehicles that are energy efficient that are working. There's a way to deal with land erosion that's working. There are ways to make organic farming profitable increasingly that are working. There are all kinds of solutions, but our political system is not strong enough to put power behind them and throw these solutions against the vested interests who want to preserve the status quo or the status quo ante with inappropriate or devastating technology and with a curtailment of opportunities and innovations. And the politicians obey it. Think of this malicious, disgraceful combination of the Democrats and Republicans pushing through this Leave No Child Behind bill that is now opposed by 80% of the teachers because they're being forced to teach the curriculum to the test. High frequency, high anxiety, multiple choice standardized testing, a complete sabotage of any concept of learning in these schools, of any concept of the arm on the shoulder in these schools. Let me give you an example of how students can learn. I was at a 5th grade elementary school class in Chicago in the most slum-ridden, drug-dangerous area. Cabrini Green, bullet holes in the windows, for example. And the students in this class were received by their teacher in December, and the teacher walked in and said, "It's not working, children. You're just not learning." There are 16 African Americans aged 10 to 12. So he said, "What do you want to work on?" And they said, "We want to work on describing the school that's falling apart and we can't learn in these conditions, and we want to push for a new school right next door where the city had some acreage for a new school but never got around to it." So the entire curriculum was shoved aside. This was the project until June. 97% attendance. No more unruliness. These children came in, they were in charge. Some of them were in charge of the pie charts and the work on the computer. Others leaned toward video documenting of the crumbling school. Others were more reach out. They'd write letters to the alderman and to Washington. They'd mobilize their 5th grade children in the suburbs to support them for a new school. Others were real press, very skilled with the press. They gave interviews to public radio and to the Chicago Tribune. And I asked the teacher, "Well, what are they doing about the test?" He says, "No problem. Reading, writing, arithmetic, that's what they're learning indirectly, because they're learning the whole context of this enormous problem that they're concentrating on." And so I write an article on this, and I put it on the internet, goes around the world. They get 300-400 emails. They get really excited, and it's remarkable what they documented. No cafeteria, they ate in the corridors. No gym, go down 2 blocks on a busy street for a rented gymnasium. The library, forget about it. The school classrooms, broken tables and desks, and often they had no heat. The heating system failed, and they had to go to school in their overcoats and mittens. One of the children said, "It's hard to write with mittens." And then, of course, there's the bathrooms. All over the country, the great fear of elementary school children are the bathrooms. The bathroom, not the faculty bathrooms. Their bathrooms. They hold it often until they go home. The bathroom was described as broken plumbing, water pools, vermin, roaches, no soap, and the towels never were replenished. And of course, the stalls were not there for privacy. And I looked at these students and I said, you just heard from the city they're going to demolish your school, reassign you, and not build a new school. You were working 6 months. Anyway, what do you think you accomplished? And I'm looking out and I'm seeing the huge skyscrapers in the distance. The skyscrapers that are routinely underassessed for property tax, of course, which of course depletes the school budget. The giant skyscrapers with these executives making $3, $4, $6 million a year each. This is a city whose motto is the city that works. It's been run by a Democratic Party since day one. And I'm pushing the students a bit, and I'm saying, what do you think you achieved? And this little girl stands up. You know how irrepressible kids are. I mean, give me 10-year-olds and replace the White House press corps anytime.